Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
For the first time, we're seeing what happened to local protesters when a car barreled into the crowd. It was all caught on video.
The driver was arrested and charged for crashing into people during Fargo's George Floyd protest back on May 30th, but he died last week of natural causes, closing this case. Valley News Team's Joshua Peguero joins us in the studio now with the exclusive video. Joshua?
Andrea and Mike, 47-year-old Michael Griffin was arrested after carrying a protester on the hood of his car for about 3 blocks. In this video, you see a white SUV speeding by. We've slowed the video down so you can see the protester, Francisco Lopez, hanging on. West Fargo detectives say Griffin was going between 40 to 45 miles per hour with Lopez on top. Griffin crashed into him at the intersection of 45th Street and Main Avenue in West Fargo. Drone footage shows the aftermath where protesters gathered around Lopez after he fell onto the road. He reportedly broke his leg when he pushed himself off the vehicle. Griffin was charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment, but the charges were dropped after he died 2 weeks ago. His lawyer says it was of natural causes. Andrea?
All right, thanks so much. Griffin faced 20 years in prison if convicted of the assault charge.
One of the best things about living where we do is when temps surge this time of year. Hutch is here with details about what's right around the corner and about what we can expect tonight. Hutch?
Mike, thanks so much. We begin with a look at that Valley Skycam off to the west, and it sure is a hazy view of the western skies as that smoke from fires out west, from Oregon, from California, from Colorado, and portions of Canada, filling our upper atmosphere here with some of that smoke, making some amazing sunrises and sunsets while they suffer from the effects of very strong and dangerous fires out west. It's cool up in northern Minnesota, 63 this hour. In Bemidji, look at Pierre. 95 sizzling degrees there. We are somewhere in the middle there, and that's where we're going to stay this evening. It looks quiet, and your planner looks like this in Fargo-Moorhead, holding on to that near 70-degree reading until sunset. Then we dip down. It'll be a little on the breezy side, particularly south of the FM area. Up north, it's been cooler throughout the day, and in Grand Forks, you can expect temperatures in the mid and even lower 60s. Then tonight at bedtime, cooling off into the 50s. I'll have details on how low we go tonight. We do have some warmth in the forecast. We have some very chilly weather to talk about as well. We'll look ahead towards your weekend, all that in just a few more moments.
I've been noticing that smoke, especially on the colorization of the sun and stuff around here.
Absolutely, and it really has provided some beautiful sunrise and sunset views.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
Let's take a look now at the COVID-19 numbers. In Minnesota, health officials are reporting 643 new cases of COVID-19, along with 3 new deaths linked to the illness. More than 1,900 deaths have been attributed to the disease. In North Dakota, there are 255 new cases, along with 2 more deaths. 170 people have died from the illness.
No changes are being made to the risk level of counties in North Dakota regarding COVID-19. 10 days ago, Governor Burgum announced that Grand Forks, Benson, and Barnes counties were among 8 that were elevated from the low to moderate level. The move led to more stringent guidelines for the impacted counties. The governor today urged shoppers in the state to stay safe and follow CDC recommendations.
But if you were to those individuals that figured out a way to, say, consolidate and go shopping 1 day a week as opposed to shopping 7 days a week, fewer trips to commercial locations, consolidating those created fewer transmissible moments, and in some cases dramatically reduced the likelihood of someone getting the infection.
And despite an active caseload of 480, the governor kept Cass County in the low-risk category. Only Burleigh County had more cases with 513.
More schools will be moving to online learning after people tested positive for COVID-19. Kindred Public Schools says there are 5 cases of COVID-19 in the high school and a large amount of close contacts of the virus. Officials say middle and high school students will be doing online learning through September 25th. All extracurricular activities are suspended at this time. Kindred Elementary will continue with face-to-face instruction this week as they have 3 cases of COVID-19. Officials say they hope to have all students back on campus by the 28th.
Meanwhile, high schoolers in Detroit Lakes will also be switching to full online learning after someone tested positive for COVID-19. DL school officials over the weekend were notified that the infected person was in school last Wednesday and Thursday. Close contacts have been notified. High school students will move to full distance learning until the 25th. Elementary students will still be in person, and middle school students will continue in the hybrid model.
A staff member at Aurora Elementary School in West Fargo has tested positive for COVID-19. School leaders say 2 other staff members who had close contact with that person have been asked to quarantine. One of them is Aurora principal Lynn Borman. She will work remotely, and in the meantime, the district says it will have an administrator from another school at Aurora handle the day-to-day operations.
North Dakota School Superintendent Kirsten Baszler visited the Ed Clapp Elementary School to see how Fargo Public Schools are managing their food service during the pandemic. The lunchrooms look different with spread out tables for social distancing. When it comes to their education approaches during the pandemic, the superintendent says it's up to local school district leaders to decide.
It's everyone's goal in the entire state to return as many of our students, all of our students, back to in-person class every day, 5 days a week, as safely as possible.
Now, to learn more about what's changed in our school cafeterias across the local school districts, download our VNL News app.
The Bemidji Police Department is asking you to keep an eye out for a 16-year-old girl who is reported missing. LaKaylee Kingbird was last seen on Saturday night around 11:30 at 901 Carter Circle Southeast. Police say she voluntarily left the area overnight. She's described as 5'3", about 125 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. She was last seen wearing a gray Minnesota Vikings sweatshirt and white tennis shoes. Police think she may be in the Hubbard County area. So if you have any information, go ahead and call the Bemidji Police Department at the phone number on your screen, 218-333-9111.
Authorities are looking for the driver responsible for a deadly hit and run in Minnesota. That crash happened between 4:30 and 6 yesterday morning near the city of Pierce. 40-year-old Joseph Herald was last seen walking on the highway. Authorities say it was dark and foggy at the time of the crash. If you have any information, call 218-316-3026 or 218-820-8401.
One person was hit by a vehicle after getting into a fight. It happened around 2:30 Sunday morning at 404 Railroad Avenue South in Leonard, North Dakota. Deputies learned that a 22-year-old Hillsboro resident and a 48-year-old West Fargo resident were fighting at this location. One of them was hit by the other person and the driver took off. The victim has injuries that are not life-threatening and was taken to a hospital. No one has been arrested yet.
One person's facing charges after leading police on a 50-mile chase in Wilkin and Clay counties. The chase started around 8:45 last night in Rothsay, Minnesota. Deputies tried to stop the driver because they noticed a stolen license plate on the vehicle. The car was eventually stopped, and that's when the driver and passenger ran from the car. The driver was arrested, but deputies were unable to find the passenger.
If you see a four-wheeler or ATV cruising around North Grand Forks in the middle of the night, it might be time to call police. They're investigating several burglaries and thefts there, and that's how the thieves got around. You can report suspicious activity to this phone number, 787-8000. An investigation is underway after a church was burglarized in Butler, Minnesota. Officials say the Holy Cross Catholic Church was burglarized sometime between September 5th and the 9th. Lock boxes that held several $100s were taken. Church members also say donated money from votive prayer candles were taken as well. If you know anything about the burglary, call the Otter Tail County Sheriff's Department.
Up next on Valley News Live at 6, details on a team of local firefighters headed to Oregon to help crews there battle the out-of-control fires.
Cooler weather today along the international border and in northern Minnesota. Low to mid 60s for many of you, 70s elsewhere. We have some warmth in the forecast, but we also have some chilly air to talk about. Hour by hour details are coming up right after this.